welcome everyone. Welcome to Oz by Drone. I'm Greg, and today we've got Lloyd, the grumpy vlogger. Hey, Lloyd.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing spectacular. This week, John's away. He's not available, so we needed someone to sit in his chair, and he's got big boots to fill. Do you think you fit the recipe there?
I'm going to try, I'm going to try.
He's speechless already.
No. Yeah, I just, my mind is going places. I'm used to running things on my show and all sorts of thoughts just went through my head at that moment. But yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, what's been happening for you this week, Lloyd? What's been happening?
Not a lot. Let's see. Last week I tried to kill myself on.
I heard about that.
Yeah, be careful with coffee. It's dangerous stuff, But
well, you didn't try to kill yourself per se. You had a incident.
Yeah, the coffee, you're supposed to drink it, not inhale it. And I'm too old to be waking up on the floor from passing out. When I was younger, I could do it all day long, but I'm just too old for that stuff now.
Yeah. Okay.
But other than that, we've been getting lots of rain, tornadoes, lightning, thunder, just a normal week in Oklahoma in the springtime.
Absolutely. So as for me, I've got back from overseas. For those who might be visiting the channel for the first time, I've been traveling around in Korea, had a few weeks off from the regular show, and finally back in Australia and glad to be home. I won't say that I was glad to go through immigration. For those that didn't see the video, the Australian immigration system at the airport shut down at exactly the time that our plane was coming in. So that was interesting, but it is what it is. But let's move on. It's time to get into the regular parts of the show. It's time for the news. Now, regularly we get a news feed from Jeff Sills. Due to communication misunderstandings, I didn't have that last night, and we'll get that happening again for next week. But I've got a few stories that I've picked up. The first one being relating to CASA and drone registration. Now, immediately before my departure from Australia, this was announced, and just before my recent travel. So the changes require registration of recreational pilots and commercial aircraft. Recreational flyers, they'll need to pay $20 each, and commercially operated drones need to register for between $100 to $160 each. Now, this is Australian money, of course. The new rules apply to all drones over 250 grams in weight. My question is, how is this going to improve safety? Can CASA point to one event in the ATSB database where there would have been a different outcome if this registration scheme was already in effect? On the screen there, you see Buzzy the drone, or at least Australia's equivalent of it. Thought I'd just have that up there as something from CASA. So what do you think, Lloyd? Do you think registration is going to improve safety?
No, I think the only thing that the registration is going to do is, one, it's going to cost a lot of people to get out of the hobby. It's going to cause them a lot to get out of the hobby. Two, I can't see that it's going to, if they invest the money into some sort of safety training programs, but the prices you guys are getting charged down there for it is absolutely ridiculous. And I can't see that it's going to stop anything. The only thing it might do is, it's like you and I've discussed before, sort of like the gun issue here. The only people that's going to have them registered and be doing the right thing with them are they going to be the law-abiding citizen. If somebody's going to do something nefarious with a drone, registration ain't going to stop it. So, yeah. No.
I mean, that's theoretically, we already have registration right now. Anyone can go out and get an ARN in Australia, which is an aviation reference number. You don't need to be a licensed commercial pilot to get an ARN. You can do that right now, and it's free of charge. And a lot of people are doing that and putting their ARN number inside their drone. So why do we need something extra that's not going to do anything to improve safety? But one other interesting point, if we have a look at, for example, the Intel drone light shows, Intel performed light shows with a fleet of up to 2,018 drones last year in one event. Even if we pick the lowest price suggested by CASA, that would be over $200,000 in drone registration fees for one light display. I guess Australia is closed for business when it comes to drone innovation.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're going to go other places. They're going to go places where it doesn't cost as much. And you guys will be a third world country when it comes to drones.
As well as the internet.
Yeah, as well as the internet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So our second story today, we've got a whole series on the DJI Phantom rumors that have been going around. There have been many rumors of the death of the Phantom series, including a comment by Romeo Dersher from DJI. He's the Director of Public Safety Integration.
Phantom line, with the exception of the Phantom 4 Pro RTK, has come to an end. And that is somewhat sad, but it also makes a lot of sense, because if you look at the Phantom 4 Pro and the Mavic 2, you see a lot of these, overlay of functionalities. One platform is slightly bigger than the other, but they're very, very similar, if not almost the same. And so, something has to give. And I truly believe that the Phantom has been a fantastic product line that has really brought in a lot of hobbyists to using drones, but also a lot of enterprise customers who's thinking about how they can be used. And now we're at a point where we're going to see how the technology will continue to evolve on both sides.
So interesting words there. This was about a month ago. So this is not new news that we've heard from Romeo, but his messaging there was the Phantom line, except for the RTK, was dead, and people should be starting to look towards the Mavic series of drones. And his assertion was that the Mavic is just as good as the Phantom. What do you think?
Well, believe it or not, that's been a lot of discussions I've been in on the last 3 or 4 days. One of the things I talked about with Remote Pilots Australia is he said the reason he just yesterday bought a Phantom 4 Pro 2. His connection found there was 3 in. This is of authorized DJI, not say Walmart or somebody like that, but the actual dealerships. 3 internationally. I mean, throughout. That was all it was left in the inventory, and he bought one of them. And he bought it as a spare for the one he has that he uses commercially. And that's the reason he bought it, because he knows that they're not available.
You know what? John Morrison had 3 Phantoms in his lineup. I think it was 3. And he sold all of them, and he bought Mavics. Now, after a month or so, he made the decision that he needed to go and buy Phantoms back again, for the simple reason, 2 things. One, doing commercial work, you need the mechanical shutter that's available in the Phantom. That's
exactly what I was going to bring up, was the mechanical shutter. That's why Ari uses the mechanical shutter, or he needs it. He says when you're mapping, he says the shutter won't go fast enough on the Mavic to, it'll stop, shoot. He says, but when you're doing, at high speed and you're doing a large acreage, he says, you don't have time for it to wait for it to stop and, take a picture each time. And that's the big draw to the Phantom, is because of mechanical shutter.
Yeah. So let's move on from that just a little bit. The second part of the story, recently, DJI Corporate Communications Director Adam Lisberg has tried to clarify the message. Adam told The Verge that Romeo, the person in the other message, misspoke. So this is on the record, the official response, he misspoke. What exactly does that mean, though? Will the Phantom 4 be back in stock? Unfortunately, Adam Lisberg had no official comment on that topic. However, he did refer to rumours of the Phantom 5 cancellation. And Lisberg advised, as for the Phantom 5 rumours, we have never said that we considered making the Phantom 5 in the first place. So there's nothing to cancel. So there is no Phantom 5 to cancel. That message is clear. There is no Phantom 5. Is that what we've heard?
Well, I've said this, you know, because Mel and I have talked about this, batted it back and forth a lot too, 400 AGL. And I've been saying this, and guys, I'm a vlogger. I'm not a drone guy. So don't take, you know, just take what I say with a grain of salt. But one of the things is if you listen to the spokesman for DJI was talking at NES in January or February, whenever it was, 2019 NES, they were going to be focusing on their commercial side of things this year,
correct?
Not their consumer side. He said
Correct.
that it's out there if you want to look at the Phantom 5. Everybody's thinking would be a consumer drone. It's not. If anything, probably what they're going to do is do a Phantom Enterprise, not the RTK, but an Enterprise. And I think that's where they're going if they go there with a Phantom at all.
Well, I'll come back to that in a little bit, but I've got some more news, and I don't think that's going to happen. We'll talk more in a second. But if Romeo did misspoke, to use the word he misspoke, what does that exactly mean? So if there was no denial that the message is untrue, he misspoke. Is that he just said something that he shouldn't have said? Question. And secondly, there was no confirmation that the Phantom 4 V2.0 is still alive and kicking. Why would Romeo have made that comment in the first place? Usually, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's got to be something behind those comments, and we're going to go and have a look at some of that just now.
Okay.
So moving on to the next point. So the DJI Parts Shortage. DJI have previously commented on the Phantom series of drones in the DJI forums, and their message was, due to a shortage of parts from a supplier, DJI is unable to manufacture more Phantom 4 Pro V2.0 drones until further notice. We apologise for any inconvenience this might have caused, and we recommend our customers explore DJI's Mavic series drones as an alternative solution to serve their needs. That was the official message from DJI, but the product has been out of stock back in November last year. That's over half a year ago. Now, if this is just an ordinary stock shortage of some individual parts, what would cause a stock shortage lasting that long? And we're going to come and look at that in a minute, but any initial thoughts from you?
There again, going back to the discussion, I've been on a bunch of panels this week, so this has been a lot of talk about this. Some say that it's the sensor that they got from Sony, that they discontinued their contract with Sony to have any more sensors made, and now they're looking for a new supplier, possibly. You know, but that's one of the rumors that I've heard, is that they actually dropped the contract was up and they didn't renew it. So, and why wouldn't they renew it if they were going to continue to make it?
Yeah. Look, I'm going to suggest something else. And the next subheading is DJI Embezzlement. Earlier this year, the company said that it had fired multiple employees who allegedly, together with their suppliers, inflated the price of parts, and they were allegedly receiving kickbacks from the suppliers. The embezzlement impacted DJI to the tune of almost $150 million last year. A reportedly internal DJI memo has been found on a number of social media platforms. The memo states, during an overhaul of management procedures, DJI discovered that employees in several parts of its supply chain engaged in corrupt behaviour that caused prices to rise on an average of 20%. So was the parts shortage caused by the embezzlement fallout? It's reasonable to assume, I think, that DJI is looking for alternate vendors to manufacture the parts required to build the Phantom series products. Now, I'm not suggesting, and I don't think you, Lloyd, would suggest that it was the Sony sensor that was involved in the embezzlement. This was other vendors. No. Yeah. But have you've heard about that embezzlement story before?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that was one of the things that was, like I said, this has been a subject I've been involved with this week. For some reason, for a guy who's not a droner, I sure have been involved in a lot of these chats this week. There again, if they're having to get new suppliers, these suppliers have to start tooling up to meet the DJI requirements.
Standards.
In other words, standards. Yeah, thank you. I'm getting old. I forget stuff like that. Anyways, but yeah, they're having to retool. They've had to renegotiate contracts. They have to find suppliers that are honest. They have to vet them. So yeah, it could take up to 6 months or more to get back into production again, especially when they've had to stop. And this is the problem the automakers always have had. When they do their own in-house stuff, that's one thing, but then they have to outsource for rings and stuff like that. Well, they don't want to keep too large of a stock. And then all of a sudden sales go up and now they're running short. And this is what's sort of what happened here. They're running short, so they had to stop production, get new guys. Retooling, all of that stuff.
Yeah. So beyond that, let's look at the next challenging aspect of all of this, the Phantom firmware. So if you do have a Phantom 4 Pro V2, the most recent Phantom drone released, the most recent firmware update was published on the 24th of October 2018. Or if you're using the version 1, the product firmware is even older. There have been no new firmware versions released after the corruption allegations for either product. Now, I had previously heard rumours that the old Phantom software developers were exited from DJI some time ago. Are there any software developers left inside DJI who know the information, have the intellectual property about how to update software for the Phantom series drones?
It makes you wonder because they haven't done any updates on that. And I assume that their software developers specialize in a particular, they have teams like the Phantom team, the Mavic team, the Air team, the Pro, the two. Yeah. And so as a result, if they've discontinued the Phantom or stopped production, they had no use for those guys for right now. So they've outsourced and gone to work for somebody else.
And there is a very, very big difference in the firmware that's on the Phantom series compared to the Mavic series of drones. The operating system is wildly different. So, I had heard those rumors, but certainly it's interesting looking at the fact that there are no updates, and the most recent ones were very, very trivial. If you have a look back to the V1, it's had 2 updates, the last 2 most recent ones. One was in 2018 and the previous one was back in 2017. So the most recent one was, again, a trivial update. But that's just one part of the jigsaw puzzle. Looking at the software developers again, we go on to the next part of the story. The DJI employee was jailed. We previously reported on DJI proprietary information, including encryption keys, that was found on GitHub by security researcher Kevin Finisterre. He tried to submit this and other findings to DJI as part of the bug bounty program. At the time, Kevin was uncomfortable with the terms of the legal agreement presented by DJI, who were trying to avoid publication of any information regarding the breach. There were also reported threats made to Kevin as part of the process, which caused a termination of those negotiations. Subsequently, a report was published disclosing the lack of security around many DJI systems. The employee that published all of these details on GitHub came forward and handed himself in to the authorities. This week, that employee was sentenced to 6 months in prison for infringement of trade secrets, plus, in addition to that, a fine of just under $30,000. So if DJI have lost many of their software developers, as we suspect, and they've got problems with their supply chain, and they've got corrupt employees taking kickbacks, and now this guy's in jail, what really concerns me is the brain bleed. With all of these people that no longer work for DJI, how long will it take to rebuild the intellectual property to be able to get a product on the shelf?
That is a good question, because they're just they're hemorrhaging right now. I mean, in you know, their intellectual property, their suppliers, they're basically up the creek without a paddle. I mean, literally.
I mean, you mentioned before it might take 6 months to go and get ready to go and supply again, but let's think about something else. If it was just your supplier went out of business and you go to another supplier, you've still got your stuff, you've still got your internal intellectual property. That's going to be a 6-month turnaround. But if the staff internal to you are also gone and all of the intellectual property associated with how that all fits together has exited your business, that is a big challenge to go and basically build the Phantom again from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, they're starting over. I mean, they're starting over with new suppliers, new salespeople, new distribution people, new programmers. I mean, just all sorts of things that could be going on there. And they're probably going to be better off leaving the Phantom dead, you know.
That is the question. But speaking of leaving it dead, we're going to go to the museum now. Oops, I'll press that button one more time. While I was in Korea, I visited the flagship DJI store in Hongdae. The only sign of the existence of the Phantom line of drones was in the basement in the museum. Even the Phantom RTK was nowhere to be found in the entire store. Now, this is where the good stuff lives. Let's see. This is the stuff that we've got to look at. Oh, Phantom Vision, some of the original Phantom aircraft on display. This is where it all began for DJI. And this is now what I would describe as museum aircraft, because these things are not available for sale. The Phantoms are in the museum. And finally over at the top over here. Is there one up the top? No, that one's empty. So just having a look over here. 2012, the original Phantom, then the Phantom 2, Phantom 2 Vision, Phantom 2 Vision Plus, Phantom 3 Professional, Advanced, Standard, and then Phantom 4. Now we'll just leave that on the screen for a second. Now you'll notice the 2016 is the date for the Phantom 4. It was released in March 2016. The Phantom 4 Pro was released the same year in November. The V2 version was released in May 2018, and it was out of stock, if I understand correctly, in around November 2018. That was a very, very short life cycle.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't very long. It's almost like, and I've always thought the V2.0 was just, especially after, you know, the rumors came out about the 5 not showing up. I just thought it was like a kind of a farewell drone, you know, like farewell to the Phantoms. And that Phantom 2 Vision was the first DJI drone that I ever had.
Yeah.
And
you know,
it's a hand-me-down for my son.
Yeah, I think the conclusion is pretty simple. Corporate espionage has hurt DJI and all of this embezzlement. It has delayed stock of their current model Phantom, and we would have to assume that future product development in this line has also been impacted. And for now, we're going to have to wait for DJI to find alternate manufacturers for the components impacted by these issues, if that's what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Who
what's
knows?
that?
It's a guessing game.
There we go. Take two. Where'd you go, Lloyd?
I'm right here.
What's that in the background? Can you hear that?
Yeah. What is it? It's not me.
Invaded by aliens. Their spokesman had only this to say.
In the beginning, there was no news, and no news is good news, so there will be no news from now on, so there.
And that's all we have for today's news. There's no news now. We've entered the news-free zone.
Oh my God.
Hang on, just listen to it.
And I'm just singing my song. I'm in a new
That was something. It's actually a little creepy.
That was actually something that's from a guy called Graham Bond and Rory O'Donoghue. Rory wrote the song. Unfortunately, Rory has already passed on. He was a great, great, great entertainer and composer. This was part of, I suppose, a refresh of what was the Arnie Jack show. And this was something that was around back in black and white television in Australia. And
Right.
Eventually they were the first people to show colour television in Australia. And the song was just cute, and I thought it would be a good way to end our news segment. So something unusual for the future.
It was definitely unusual.
Yeah. So that's all we have for today's news. And now we move on, and it's time for... It's time for our guest, Matt from Drone Strike LLC. Hello, Matt, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hello and welcome. How you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Nice to be part of the show.
How does it feel to be an honorary Australian?
About the same.
No, that's the wrong answer. It feels absolutely spectacular.
It does. It feels spectacular.
Okay. So, Matt, tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been flying drones?
Oh, since I'd say about 2016. Previous to that, did a lot of 3D helis and a bunch of wasted money on fixed wing craft. You know, where most of us got our start.
Mm-hmm.
What really got me, and a lot of you may or may not know this YouTuber, but Barnacules Nerdgasm. Jerry Berg in, pretty sure he's either in Washington or Oregon. He did a video on the Autel X-Star, and
Okay.
I thought that's a really neat drone. I'm going to get one, and now I have two.
Okay.
And that's where it started with me on that. Because if you've ever flown a 3D heli or had anything to do with a 3D heli, you know that you would fly it for a second, crash it, and rebuild the thing from scratch. Fly it again for a second, crash it, rebuild it from scratch.
Yeah, as you do. So just, I've got three videos. We're just going to have a look at a little bit of each of the first two, and then talk more about your business. The first one is some bridges. So you did this as a kind of a photography-based kind of thing, separate to your commercial work, or why did you decide to make this video?
Well, they're in our county here in the state. It's not the oldest one, but there are a lot of these old steel truss bridges that the county just said, hey, we're not going to put any more money into them. We're just going to leave them go. We're going to shut the roads down and let them rot, just rot to pieces. So a few here in the county knew that I did drone photography, and they said, hey, do you think this would be something that you could maybe do for historical reasons, so we could have something to remember these bridges when they eventually do go away? And of course, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So how many of those are still physically around at the moment?
I'm pretty sure I did 5 There were more, but some of them were inaccessible. You just could not get to them any drone anyhow.
Except by air, yeah.
The few that are in this video were, still pretty challenging as far as that goes. Some of them were, some of them weren't, but there still are quite a few of them. And the worst part is our county is not rolling in the dough, as they say. So they don't want to replace these bridges. So, we're kind of stuck with dead end roads on both ends.
Yeah. Look, it's a beautiful, beautiful video, and I didn't get time to update my video description today with a link to your channel. But okay. I would ask everybody watching today, go over to the Drone Strike channel, just search it yourself, Drone Strike LLC. And particularly this video I thought was very, very well made, and really, really some great footage, and obviously the historic significance of that as well. Beautiful, beautiful footage. So
that was my favorite one there, by the way.
Yeah. There's the road closed, as you said, bridge out. So, but it's not out to a drone.
Yeah, definitely. But that got some interest with the county engineers and things of that nature to possibly. This bridge, of course, the only thing that it can't do is do anything heavier than just a regular passenger car. And the problem is the bridge just a mile down the road or a mile down the river from this one. A semi-truck driver decided to try to take a overloaded grain bin across it, and it collapsed. So instead of taking a chance, they closed this one off as well.
Yeah, it'd be good to open it up to foot traffic, I think, again, just put a couple of pylons at either end. Yeah. Anyway, look, we'll leave the first video there and skip into the second one, which is just a little bit of info from your channel. The next video, .2. There we go. So this is just a little bit more of your work, and again, I would encourage people, pop over to Matt's channel. How many subscribers you got?
Oh, last I checked, about 45 on this channel.
45 subscribers. How many people have we got watching today? Everyone here, do me a favor and jump over to Matt's channel. He's got some really beautiful footage there.
Yeah, and I put a link up there for his channel.
Thanks
in the
thanks
chat.
For that, Lloyd.
Oh, thanks, Lloyd.
There are some channels that are, untapped gems, and I think this is definitely one of them. So we didn't come here to talk about the untapped gem. We came here to talk because this channel, we're geeks, and we like talking about big boys' toys and whatnot. So let's play the third video, and we're going to chat about what's on there. So, Matt, tell me, what is this?
That is the AG V8A, I believe, is the model number, and that is an agricultural spraying drone.
So
something that I don't believe will replace crop dusting planes, but will augment their capability.
Yeah. So we're just watching it going and doing the crop there. I was watching the video in detail yesterday. As it's flying forward and backwards, it's doing the spraying, but as it's flying laterally, it automatically turns it off, and the spray volume increases as it goes forward at a different speed. And yeah.
Yep.
Tell me about the tech. Who made that particular product?
This product was actually produced by TT Aviation in China, of course. Everything's made in China. It is sold here in the United States locally by a company by the name of HSE, Homeland Surveillance and Electronics, which they're the intermediary between TTA in China and, of course, end user myself.
Yeah. Okay. And in terms of flying these things in the US, you're going through a process right now to get yourself certified?
I am at the very beginnings of the Part 137 certification process.
Okay. And what does that involve for us uninitiated?
Whew. I'll try to boil it down to the very simple terms. First off, you've got to have your commercial applicator's license for your particular state to spray economic poisons, not by drone, but just by any means. You have to be rated for aerial in your particular state, which I am here in Ohio. You have to have your Part 107, of course.
So the commercial applicator's license, that's issued by the FAA or an agricultural department?
The Ohio Department of Agriculture has to issue a license to do aerial applications as well. So that's something you have to have in place. And that's the same for any state here in the United States. Most all of them have some sort of aerial applicator certification, or the word I'm looking for. Basically a rubber stamp that says you can do this.
Okay.
Once you have that, there are other licenses that go into that, but once all that started, then you have to get to the 137 certification, you have to apply for exemptions from parts of the 137 that you cannot comply with, as well as the Part 107 that you can't comply with. Namely, Part 107.49, which would be the carriance of hazardous material, I believe.
Okay. So quite complicated. And we'll just go back to that full screen of you for a minute. Show me that manual.
This is the first one. This is one I didn't show you last night, but this is my actual 137 certification book. This has all the documents that I need to go through the certification, including my letter of intent and my petition, as well as other documents. You can see it's probably 80 pages, give or take. Then you have the Part 107 manual that I had to read in full, as well as the Airman's manual that I have on the other side of the room. That's 400 and some pages. And the AC 137 1B, which was meant to augment the 137 certification for drones. So if you're still following along, I know you're probably asleep. It's a lot of reading, and unless you're in it to win it, don't even consider it.
So how many other people have got this certification in your region?
In Ohio, there are none. I am the only one. In the, every state connecting to Ohio, I'm still the only one. The next closest would be Georgia, Florida, Texas, and Oregon and Washington State.
So what did they say when you said you wanted to get this certification?
They were more excited about it than I was.
It's because they don't have to do all the work.
Well, they haven't. My handler here at the FAA, my local FSDO, they haven't done a 137 certification in years. And that's what he was excited about. He's like, I haven't done one of these in years. It's going to be fun. And I said, well, ho. I'm doing this for a drone. He goes, a what now?
Yeah.
A drone. Okay.
So,
I'm a Part 107 pilot, yada, yada, yada. He's like, oh, I don't know how to do that. So yeah, it's been fun to this point. I will say, if any of you have ever worked with anybody at the FAA, they are very straightforward, to the point with everything they do, but they try to make sure that you understand every bit of the material they're forcing down your throat. They're not forcing it down my throat, but they want to make sure that I understand the process in full, beginning to end. So,
but are you teaching them or are they teaching you?
A little of both. A little of both.
Yeah. Lloyd?
Basically the Part 137 is basically the crop duster's license. Mm-hmm. And then the 1B is as it applies to a Part 107 pilot, correct?
Yes.
If I understand that all right?
Yeah, yes. The AC, excuse me, The AC-137-1B was meant to augment some of the rules. Now, of course, since the 137 rule in the Code of Federal Regulation, Part 14, 137, all that, I'm not going to go through the whole thing.
Right.
Since it came into effect, aircraft have gotten better and better and better and better and better and better and better. So this kind of includes it's for manned aircraft as well, but including this new technology and drones.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like the 1B now includes the modern aircraft, just not the old sop with camels that they used to fly crops with.
Yeah.
Or the old craft or what I can't remember what they used to fly with.
Oh, all kinds.
Yeah.
The current generation crop dusting aircraft would be air tractor, very specialized aircraft. In several models, the 802, 602, and 504. There might be another one in there, but different configurations and amounts of weight they can carry.
Let me just ask you a quick question. You mentioned before about you don't think it's going to be the end of traditional crop dusting. So
No.
what is the decision point of deciding you're going to use a drone versus a manned aircraft? What's the point?
On a few things, when you have a crop duster and if you're a farmer and you have 1,000 acres and this 1,000 acres is split up into 50-acre tracts, okay, you've got these 50-acre tracts. They're 3,000 feet long, or however wide, easy for a plane to get to, in and out. But then he has this little 10 acres that a plane can't get to. And when the corn gets over head high, you can't do anything with it. Or you take the risk of destroying the crop, getting a machine in there to spray a fungicide, insecticide, pesticide, whatever it might be. And this would replace destroying the crop to treat it and get in those small areas where no other means are possible.
Okay. The reason why the manned aircraft is just simply because of how much it can carry and that it can do the longer missions, and you've obviously got, changing battery times. If you had an aircraft that was not battery powered but was using some other form of fuel, would the drone application method be, could it replace a manned aircraft?
Could. And now I'm not saying that drones couldn't eventually with the swarm technology, like with what you were saying earlier with Intel and flying 2,000 little drones in the air. The same thing can be done with these ag drones. It's just the FAA saying, no, you can't do that. It's the biggest thing to it, because if you think about it, a crop dusting aircraft is about $1 million. It can cover a lot of area very quickly.
Yeah.
But if you had 30 of these crop dusting drones that could be operated by one person, you could cover about the same area in the same amount of time with less risk and more efficient.
But that's assuming battery fuel. If you could use another fuel source that had longer endurance,
could.
Yeah.
But let's say
I'm just thinking out loud.
30. I'm sorry, Greg.
I'm just thinking out loud. That's all.
Okay. I get you. But I mean, if you think about it, let's say each one of these drones, the one that I'm going to get is going to be able to cover about 3 acres in one charge, about 6 minutes. And do the math in your head. Things are going to be moving pretty quick. If there were 10, 20, 30 of these guys flying at the same time, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, look, thank you very much for jumping on today. It's interesting looking at different uses of the technology that we all love so much. And thank you for joining. Again, I'll update the description after the show today, put the link to your channel in there. Lloyd's already put it in the chat. So guys, go and check out Drone Strike LLC, have a look at some of his videos. Great material. Thanks for joining. Oh, hang on. I forgot something. That's really important. How could I possibly forget this?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to play Stump the Yank.
Oh, yank the stump. I mean,
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's that time of the day where we like to have some fun with our guests that are not from Australia. It's time to play Stump the Yank. So for those who are new to our channel, this is a little bit of fun and frivolity. Originally it started, I had a couple of Australian trivia questions that I asked of one of our guests early on, and then one day I was on another channel and they were doing free jingles, and I thought, well, can I get a jingle made up? And I thought, what could I call it? And Stump the Yank was it. So Matt, I have one question for you, and this is a very Australian question. I'm asking if, and you've got two parts. You can answer either or both. What is the meaning of the word Anzac? Or, if you don't know the meaning of the word Anzac, what is Anzac Day? So Anzac stands for something. It's an acronym. Have you heard of the word before?
no, I've never heard the word before.
Bzzzt, I haven't got my buzzer ready.
Anzac.
Australia, and do you know Lloyd?
Well, yeah, I do know what Anzac Day is, and I'd forgot what the
Come on,
that's
you
like
can
your
get it.
version of Veterans Day. Yeah, it's your Veterans, and it's Australian New Zealand Army Corps.
Got it.
Oh,
Got it
okay.
in one. Did you Google it?
The last part I did, but I knew with Anzac it has to do with the Battle of Gallipoli,
Yeah. So
which is where the British had tea while Australia and New Zealand got their butts kicked by the Turks.
Yep, yeah, exactly right. So Anzac Day is our remembrance day for remembering back to that particular union of Australia and New
World War
Zealand
One.
and the battle, the Turks, as you are absolutely right. And yes, we got our butts kicked. We celebrate our biggest military defeat, I think, but it's good to remember those people who did sacrifice for what we have today in Australia.
If anybody wants to see a good movie about it, and that's Gallipoli with Mel Gibson, it's one of his earliest movies, and man, it turns your stomach when you see what the no offense to my palmy friends, but they did you wrong, man.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask, this is a question for Lloyd. You didn't know I was going to try and stump you. We'll just get Lloyd back on screen. What else is there special? Lloyd is the other guy to my producer.
Yeah. The grumpy guy.
Yeah. What else is there special about Anzac Day that's specific to my family?
To your family?
Yeah.
Other than maybe your grandfather was at Gallipoli?
No.
No,
you're obviously not paying attention on whatever show it was that I had that on. It's also my wedding anniversary, lest we forget.
Oh, that's right. You told me that too. Oh, so you will never forget. We just talked about this last week, for God's sakes. Jeez.
Yeah. You're getting old, my friend.
Old.
You're getting old.
We just talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Because it was just, Anzac Day, a week or two ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. As your wedding anniversary. Duh.
Yeah, lest we forget. It was a great day to get married. It's a holiday every year on your anniversary, so yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, thank you very much for joining us, Matt. It was lovely having you. And as I said, viewers, do check out his channel and have a look at that, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
See you, Matt.
Matt, it was good seeing you.
Yep. Thanks, Lloyd.
Yeah.
So So back to Mr. Lloyd over here, and Matt, I'll get you to disconnect at your leisure and give me back a little bit of bandwidth that'll make Lloyd look better, but that's very hard to do.
Oh, bite me.
See you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you, Matt. Good seeing you.
Okay, and now, the moment you've all been waiting for. So I've got a video that's from our Korea trip that I've put together from the drone park in Korea. Now, let me get my notes over here so I can say the name correctly. It's from the Gwangnaru Park. It's in the Gwangnaru area. It's the Korea Drone Park. It's actually called the Hanyang. Oh, no. Hangang is the name of the drone park. Anyway, you'll see that in a couple of moments. Let's have a look. Welcome to Seoul, Korea, and in particular to the Hangang Drone Park. That little tune you heard a few moments ago is something that happens on the subway when trains are about to arrive. Just thought I'd share that. Anyway, let's get started and explore the Hangang Drone Park. I see this little beastie over here sitting on a launch pad. I didn't see it coming out of its box, but that looks like a nice toy. And apparently the owner of this one has gone away and just left it here. I don't know where he's gone. Maybe to go and get a cup of coffee or some spare parts, or maybe he needs a new battery. Judging by the connections on the back, that's probably the case. No battery. I did meet up with the owner of that rather large drone a little bit later on in the day. At the time, they were actually doing some flight testing and evaluation of a pilot to make sure that he was type certified to fly that particular drone on a commercial basis. They did mention that the particular aircraft was designed and built locally by a drone club in Korea. So, very nice aircraft, very stable. They didn't go very far with it because they were specifically doing that flight test on the day in question. On the screen below in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the area reserved for photography quads. On the right-hand side is the runway for takeoff and landing of fixed wing. In the middle of the screen is the area that's reserved for racing and acrobatic quad fun and games. All of this is set alongside the Hangang River, also known as the Han River or the Han River. I'm not quite sure how that's pronounced. If you do want to go to the park and visit, you need to get off at the AMSA, AMSA station on the subway. Once you're there, you should use the NAVER, N-A-V-E-R, mapping application. It allows you to do offline mapping and get around in Seoul, Korea. Certainly it helps you both on the street and also in the subway. So the area below that we're looking at now is a little bit more of a close-up view of the race area. We're going to go and explore that and have some fun as people start to rip it up a little bit. Oh! The guys there were having a bit of fun, literally bouncing the drone off the ground as they're, literally ripping up the grass and then going through that gate. They were having a lot of fun there. Down close to the river, we see the tarmac area, which is for takeoff and landing of fixed-wing aircraft. As you approach the area, you will hear the sound of different types of engines roaring in the background, and you'll also smell aviation gas type fumes in the area. Certainly a very interesting place to visit. Very, very noisy aircraft, this one. We've got a jet engine happening there, and it smells exactly like being at a regular airport. So this park is open every day, and you come down there and just have a look around. It's absolutely insane. Some of the aircraft that I saw on the ground, we'll have a look at a few of them now. We've got another takeoff here. This guy, he's very, very, what's the right word? Creative with his flying. I'll use that word, creative. Nothing special yet, but if we keep watching, you'll see some really cool stuff. I think it's fair to say he likes to stay in the air. So I edited a bit out, and he's coming down for a landing, or at least so we thought. He wanted to show off a little bit. So he did a loop, and then he comes around again, and maybe he'll land the second time. Or not. And off he goes again. Perhaps third time lucky. Nope, another loop. He just doesn't want to get out of the air. Fourth time. Is he going to come down? There, he's bouncing. He looks... Oh, no, he does stay down that last final time. This is the jet aircraft that we saw at the beginning of this section getting refueled. So that brings our trip to the drone park to an end today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as we leave today, I'm just going to leave you with some footage taken from my Phantom 4 Pro of the area, having a look down at the buildings and the skyscrapers and a little bit of the river. I'll add some audio in a moment as well, which is another tune from the Korean subway, just to give you a little bit more of a feeling of some of the things you'll hear when you catch a train there. I'll loop it a few times until the end of the video. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please, if you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. See you next time. So, Mr. Lloyd, what did you think of the park there?
Oh, that was awesome. Man, we need one of those. I think every city should have one like that. I mean, that's just, yeah. I mean, does the city provide that, or how's that, or is it owned by one of those, flight groups, or what is it?
I think there's probably a club that kind of administers it, but it's, I believe, a state-owned park. And as you can see, it's still very, very close to the skyscrapers on the other side of the road there. But being very close to the river, that gives the fixed-wing guys a chance to do their thing. The only thing that I would like, the area that's reserved for the quads is pretty small, and you can do the non-photography based stuff, but if you want to go up and take some pictures, as I'm doing right here, it's pretty much vertical ascent and across to the side above some grass, but you can't go out over the river without getting in the way of the fixed wing guys. So right, I don't know how you fix that, but that's the only criticism I'd really have.
Yeah.
When we first came to the area, the bridge you see in front of you at the moment, we were on the other side of the bridge. We got off the train at the wrong place. If you are going to go and visit the park, the station is AMSA, A-M-S-A. Get off at the AMSA station, and then, as I said in the video before, follow your nose with the NAVER map, N-A-V-E-R. Definitely what you need to get around Korea. It's really helpful to navigate the subways there.
Yeah, I think you actually called me as you guys were walking over. You called me on your Skype.
Yeah,
and when you was walking to that,
I don't think it was Skype. I was actually live streaming it.
Oh, were you live? Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe
it was.
Okay.
Yeah. We got a little bit lost. Anyway, It's all good. It's all good. Now, at this time, I do want to quickly point out there's a competition that we've got running where I've got this little puppy, which is a Katie Faux video rig kit. I did a video on that little while back before I went traveling. So I'm going to give this thing away. But in the video, I asked people to say, what would you like me to do to test it? And to enter the competition, you had to put something in there. Truth be told, just put a comment in the video. Look for that one to win the Katie Faux video rig kit. Put a comment in there, and that'll be your entry. But I did have a request from our illustrious friend, Mr. Ken Heron, and he suggested that I run over this with my car. Now, I did say it was a pretty indestructible unit, so I'm going to do that. So please, if you do enter the competition, realise that it maybe have a few scratches on it. But I reckon it's going to survive. I said in the video, I think it's indestructible. It's really, really solid and well made. So I'm going to run it over with my car and post that as a video, and we'll see how that goes. Again, look for the video. I'll put a link to it in the description. I haven't done that yet, and I'll do that a little bit later. And yeah, you can win that. There's some other giveaways coming up in the near future in weeks to come as well. But just to share with people, I don't know if you can see on this shirt the Oz by Drone logo there, and As I have a drink here, we've got the Osby Drone coffee mug now. They're not yet available for sale. Those are limited runs that we've done just for a bit of a trial, but got the nice new logo, so I had to do something with that. So that's all for competition news. And finally, we get into Explore Australia, our regular part of the show, which people absolutely love. And I just had my mouse in the wrong part of the screen. There we go. So again, thanks to Greg Hilton. He's recovered from his incident a little while back. The first video is in Foster, Victoria, and it's created by Gippsland Drone Services. It's a real estate clip, but Greg comments that it's incredibly well done and a credit to that company.
Good footage. There is some green in Australia.
There is some green, yeah. And this one over here, Hunter Valley coast of New South Wales, Australia by drone by Tim Downey, filmed with his DJI Mavic Pro. Greg made a comment that he loves hearing the word filmed instead of, shot with or something like that. So very cinematic footage.
That's a nice reveal.
And the rest.
Wow.
And our third one today, the Drone Way. We've had some footage from him before, the York Peninsula in South Australia.
Oh, okay.
So this is the bit of the show where I like to make our American friends, Ken Heron, jealous of the wonderful places you can come to and film in our country. Especially those people, Ken Heron, who don't have a passport. And to let them know, Ken Heron, that they need to apply for a passport. Sorry, did I mention that, Ken, we'd love you to come and visit?
Yeah, Ken needs to get a passport. I've got an open invitation to go stay down there. I just got to get a passport or two.
Yeah, Ken's got the invite as well. Believe it or not, we've got the fold-out bed literally in this studio room over here. So he'd be right at home. He'd have video production facilities at hand. As you fall asleep watching the Wirecast rig to your left.
I think it's the idea that he has to eat Vegemite as part of the entrance exam to get into Australia that's probably bothering him.
Vegemite, ah yes. It's been a bit of a feature on your show a few times.
Yes.
Again, I just want to thank Greg Hilton. He as my regulars will know. Actually, I'll come back to Greg before I forget. Ferg Taz, he's one of the regulars that we feature as well. Mount Brown, Tasmania, shot by Ferg Taz. Some beautiful footage from Tasmania each and every time that we see him.
Man, this is gorgeous.
As I was saying though, I just want to, say thank you very much to Greg Hilton, and I'd encourage everyone watching today to go and do a search for Greg Hilton on YouTube. After the show, I'll double check if I've got a link in there, and if not, I'll make sure it's there. The history, Greg and he called me up one morning, and at the time he didn't know it, but I picked up the symptoms that he was having a stroke, and we got an ambulance out to him, and he's recovering. But thank you so much, Greg, for all of the work that you put into compiling these videos each and every week. And I'll say one more time, it is important for everyone watching, don't just watch it here, go and have a look up these channel names, and I said I haven't yet put them in the description this week. I usually do it ahead of time, but you know, I'm kind of running behind this week because the studio needed to be rebuilt, shall we say, after our travels, and we took all our cameras away with us. But I'll update it after the show with links to all of those channels.
Wow, this is just... See, not every place in Australia looks like where Spike lives.
Come on, mate. You know that Spike is unique and everything about him is unique.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, Spike's my adopted little brother. What can I say?
I've got a few more things that I call him, but...
Well, yeah.
No, he's a great Aussie.
We can talk about him. He's not in here now. He left earlier.
Yeah, I saw. We'll have to come up with some Spike jokes.
We will. Yeah. Yeah, he is a character, you know, of and by himself. I mean, a guy that can put that many hours doing a live stream, and I can't do it without a co-host. You know, I just can't. And for him to put in, God, I don't know how many hours he put in, but it was long.
Yeah. This next one, again by the Drone Way, Flying the Nullarbor, clip number 4. So I assume that there's clip numbers 1, 2, 3, and maybe some others. Again, selected by Greg.
That was some good flying.
I'm just looking at the chat here in the background. Drone shots. Obviously, Ken needs to come to Australia and remember to bring his on his controller the drone knobs. Ladies. Anyway, sorry. In joke for those who are regulars, but
I can't believe you said that.
And Drone Shots is commenting, Ice Spike Town has only 9 people in it. I could believe that.
There used to be a lot more there, but he talked the rest of them to death.
No. Well, once they've died, their spirits have maybe gone inside his head and he's still talking to them. Multiple personality disorder.
Gotta love Spike.
Drone Strike asking, is Vegemite made from Foster's beer? I should hope not. No one drinks Foster's in Australia. Only overseas people drink it.
Yeah, we had to explain to Matt what Vegemite was.
Okay.
And
yeah, we had a little session before the show, and
yeah.
Matt had no idea what Vegemite was, and what did you describe it as, Grumpy?
Beer poop. It's the crap left at the bottom of the. Well, you guys don't export beer, so you had to do something. It's an export. I mean,
we export Foster's, but again, that we can call that beer poop as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's liquid, so we'd call it something else. Yeah, but you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've come to the end of our time. It's been a long show today. We're a little bit over. Some quick community service announcements. If you would like to send us any videos, upload at gregkuhnert.com. Don't send us a big file. Send a link to a YouTube or some other streaming site where we can get that. If you would like to follow us on social media, and we would appreciate it if you do, there's where you can find us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Particularly for this video, if you could comment after the stream is stopped today, that helps get some visibility for our channel. And do a like as well. That'd be really cool. Our postal address, if you'd like to send us anything, 5/127 Princes Highway, Sylvania, New South Wales, 22224 Australia. Reminder for those people in Australia, John, our co-host, and I will be doing Drone Camp later this year, dronecamp.info. This is targeted at young people who would like to learn how to fly safely and get into the hobby. I think that's all I've got in terms of community service announcements for today. We will be back next week at the regular time. And Lloyd, any last comments from you?
Well, I have one last thing. I've been joking about Vegemite, so I wanted you to know I had my Vegemite. And I like to do these challenges. So this is an Oreo.
Vegemite on an Oreo.
Yes, so I'm going to have me a little bit of Vegemite on an Oreo and good stuff.
You know, we spoke before the show. I'm going to reach out to Vegemite and see if we can get those little hotel things and send them out as a prize every week. That would be absolutely awesome. I'll have to look up Vegemite and see if we can do that.
Not bad. You need to try that, Greg. You know,
Vegemite on an Oreo. Okay, I'll remember that one. My sister, I think, if I remember correctly, had Vegemite on ice cream when she was young at one point.
I did do Vegemite with chocolate ice cream. I don't recommend it because the ice cream makes the Vegemite really cold and thick, and it kind of it's not recommended.
Okay. That's all
thanks
for now.
Having me, Greg.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Oh, I do have one more quick announcement for our regulars. One more very quick one. In fact, I'm going to go to the YouTube page right now. Bear with me as I press some buttons and I click there, and then I go to Create a Studio, and it's very slow at the moment. By the way, how's the internet today?
It's been good.
Yeah, I haven't seen any dropouts from Wirecast. What's going on? Have Telstra fixed Australia's internet?
That's what somebody actually said earlier. Did they fix it? Yeah.
Yeah. So here's my question. At the moment, I have 3,764 watch hours in the last 12 months. Now, for those who are newer to my channel, I would encourage you to watch some of my back catalogue, and we've got an all videos playlist, because once I reach 4,000 hours, we get to monetize the channel and do all of that good stuff. So if you could help out, watch some of the back catalogue, that would be very much appreciated. I'm not asking you to watch things just for the sake of it to get us monetized. To be clear, YouTube don't like that. I'm suggesting if you are interested in watching some of our early material, because you are genuinely interested, that would be really nice. That's all. Okay. Lloyd, thank you very, very much again. Sorry?
I was going to say, I am completely caught up on your all 94 of those episodes.
if we have only 5 or so people watch all of the 94 episodes, that would get us over the mark. So that would be very much appreciated. That's all for now. I'm going to post that Korea video so you can have a look at it later and enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.